legal terminology.
You're on TV, Chris.
Oh boy.
I think we had 4 watches the other day. That's right.
Is Nate joining us tonight?
No, we have everybody.
We have everybody here? All right, 6:30. So we can call the meeting to order.
I have a roll call. Boyer. Hyman.
Here.
Rucker.
Here.
Dawson.
Here.
Cron.
Here.
Byram.
Okay, did everybody have a chance to take a look at the meeting minutes from the last meeting? Would anybody like to make a motion to approve them?
I can't.
Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
Hyman.
Yes.
Rucker. Dawson.
Yes.
Cron.
Here. Yes.
Okay. Ms. Burrow?
I just want to thank everybody for joining us back for the first design review board meeting back here in person in over a year. Tonight we have 3 items on the agenda, as you can see. Our applicants are here with us and are able to share kind of additional comments with us. I can confirm that all the legal notices were sent within the time frame set in our ordinance. And just a little update on some of the in-house operations here within the village. We are working on a zoning code update, and one of the chapters that will be addressed along with the entire zoning code is the Uptown District. So look forward to that in the next couple months, having draft out for public comment and review, and our steering committee will take a look at that as well, and Mr. Boyer does serve on that. That is all I have this evening.
Okay. And there's nothing under old business?
Nothing under old business, but we do have some public
Public
comment.
comment. Do we want to do the public comment? Do we want to start with the new business number 1 first and then leave the public comment for the second item, or just do the public comment now?
I have one public comment that was submitted via email, and it addresses all 3 applications, so I can read that.
Okay.
I can read that now.
All right.
This was from Richard Miller, and he says, I own the property at 302 West Main Street and was an original member of the Design Review Board for the Plain City Historical District, in which I represented the business owners located in the district. I will address the applications for certificate of appropriateness in order as received. 1. The HVAC relocation. It appears Mr. Huchard desires to relocate a wall unit air conditioning from the front of his building to an alcove on the back of the building, which was located on a closed alley. I am in favor of this. Owning an older building, I understand the difficulty of balancing relocation of external mechanicals and or updating with minimally compromising and or improving aesthetics. Mr. Huchard's proposal has met this challenge. Number 2, the outdoor patio fence. It appears Mr. Dawson desires to install patio fencing in the sidewalk in front of his properties along North Chillicothe. Unfortunately, I'm not in favor of this for numerous reasons. The first issue is that of safety. On North Chillicothe, the fencing appears to run along the edge of the sidewalk. People parking on North Chillicothe will have to park further out into the street, placing them at higher risk for injury when exiting their vehicle. People exiting their vehicle on the passenger side will need to avoid hitting the fence with vehicle doors, and then maneuver down to the opening in the fence to gain access to the sidewalk. My parents are elderly, one walks with a cane or a walker. This appears to be in violation with our right to a safe and easy access to the sidewalk. Having limited defined access to the sidewalk would force people to walk on the road, which is a federal violation and not a good idea. Think roads are for vehicles and bicycles, sidewalks are for pedestrians. Regarding a patio on the sidewalk, I spoke with the engineer's office in Fort Myers, Florida, regarding sidewalk for dining areas. Fort Myers has specifically allowed this in their historic downtown. He stated, federal ADA guidelines require 5 feet, 60 inches access on a sidewalk. North Chillicothe, this would allow a maximum of 40 inches for seating, which is a small table for 2. Regarding outdoor patio fencing along West Main Street, the patio appears to be closed in on the west side and extend out in front of the business, which is not a restaurant. Also refers to a previous stated federal ADA requirement with a minimum of 5 feet, 60 inches. His proposal allows a maximum of 57 inches, which is a pinch point. If outdoor seating is desired, this may be accomplished without uninviting appearing barriers. Number 3, the alley mural. I appreciate Mr. Dawson's apparent desire to enhance the side of the building that was painted without apparent proper sealing by Wes Brock years ago. This is now aesthetically unappealing. However, the proposed mural is not an improvement. It looks like a tacky postcard from 1950s and does not represent the image that of the historical district deserves. I would refer you to 2 places that have used murals to enhance the building or structure that the mural was painted on. The first is Portsmouth, Ohio. The second is Lake Placid, Florida. I showed Mr. Dawson's mural to several people. None responded favorably. One commented, "Why don't you just paint Welcome to Schitt's Creek sign on the wall?" That is not a compliment. Thank you for allowing for my comments and concern. Signed, Richard Miller. That is the only public comment that was submitted to me regarding all 3 applications.
Do we want to proceed with additional public comments at this time, or should we move on to just
I only had comment on number 2, so I don't know
Just
if you
number
want to do
2.
that after you're done with
number 1?
It's up to you.
All right, well, let's move on to new business number 1. The certificate of appropriateness for the HVAC relocation.
So the first item on the agenda tonight is for 114 West Main Street. It's a certificate of appropriateness for the relocation of an HVAC unit from the northeast facade to the alcove on the northwest side of the building. So as you can see up on the screen, it's zoned in our Uptown Historic District, which is depicted in the black outline, and in our B3 Central Business District. As you can see, that's the existing conditions from Main Street and from North Chillicothe. Depicted on there is where that HVAC unit is currently located. The applicant has presented an application for installation of a new HVAC unit in January 2021. The board rendered that decision in March. The condition of approval was that the applicant had 3 months to demonstrate a plan for relocation of the unit and 6 months to implement. Following up on that condition, the applicant is proposing the unit be removed from the current location, placed in the alcove along the alley side of the building, and then once the unit is removed, the hole that persists on that northeast side will be filled with brick. In addition to the relocation of the unit, the applicant is proposing an additional HVAC unit to be added, making 2 in total to serve the other units in the building. And with that, the board shall consider whether the application is consistent with the criteria set in 1327. Staff has reviewed the certificate of appropriateness and would recommend that the applicant provide verification that the replacement brick will match the existing brick, and to show kind of how exactly those 2 HVAC units will be placed and screened along the alley. He did depict it in a site plan, but just some additional clarification before the board votes. Up on the screen is some of the guidelines in the ordinance that you take into consideration when making your decision tonight. And we do have Mr. Bouchard with us. If you have anything you'd like to add.
I'm sorry, I have hearing aids, And female voices are difficult for me to pick up, so I really didn't get much of what you said. I saw the picture up there, but I think that's all I can say, and I didn't hear it.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Do we have any comments from the board on this?
Is there a picture of where the new HVAC will be located?
If you look right on that site plan, he depicts it it's kind of small because of our screen, but where that red star is where on that building it'll be located.
Okay.
We just have an insight plan.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions about it?
I appreciate you being willing to relocate that unit, and I think that you picked a great spot for it where no one's going to even know that it's back there, and very few people will even see it. So I am more than happy with that location, and it was a great spot. So thank you.
I would move that we approve this
No.
with the conditions that Ms. Brill has put upon.
Okay. Does anybody want to second that?
Sorry.
So you're making the motion?
Yes.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Hyman,
Yes.
Rucker,
Yes.
Dawson,
Yes.
Cron,
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Bouchard. I will be in touch with you about the approval for that.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Okay, on to item 2.
Thank you. So the second item on the agenda tonight is COA 21-16, which is a certificate of appropriateness for 132 North Chillicothe Street for the installation of an outdoor patio fence. The applicant is located at 132 North Chillicothe Street, located within the confines of the historic district in its zone B3. The applicant filed an application for a COA to allow for the installation for the outdoor patio fence. It was in front of the board prior, but with some additional clarifications for you tonight to review. So the outdoor fencing is proposed to be the black powder coated, as you can see. It'll stand about 36 inches tall. It'll be semi-permanent with the ability to remove in the future. The proposed fencing, as you can see in the next few pictures, was depicted to span the entire front of that building. The depth of the fence is sort of unclear at this time, but the applicant will be required to accommodate at least a 48 inches of unobstructed pedestrian walkway to meet our code requirements. The building is located, it has a 0 lot line, which is right up to the property line. So that leaves all of the front of the sidewalk considered public right-of-way. So the applicant will be required to file a separate application for non-permanent amenities to be installed within the public right-of-way before it can be installed there. So the board should consider tonight whether the proposed application is consistent with the criteria in 1327. Staff, after reviewing the certificate of appropriateness, recommends approval with the following conditions. The applicant must file adequate permits and receive approval to install the fence in the public right-of-way, and that staff will make the final determination to the extent of which the fence may span the sidewalk upon evaluations of sidewalk standards as depicted in our code.
Okay. Open it up to public comment now.
Okay. Amy, up here so you can hear me.
This came up in front of you previously and was unanimously turned down for lack of information. It came up in front of council. Council unanimously turned it down even after seeing that picture. So council was not for this. Your online comment mentioned 60 inches as the ADA standard, yet you mentioned 48. So I'm not sure where that goes in terms of zoning. I'm assuming it has to be 60. Well, there are several, I've got 3 or 4 different things that all affect this. Number one, where are the gates for people to get into them? And number 2, they're so small that in order to have a waitress or waiter come up and take your order, they're going to be standing in the sidewalk and blocking the sidewalk. So then you're even further limiting the sidewalk space that's there. In council, separate point, council 2 nights ago, Nathan said the plan for streetscapes is to go all the way up to 2nd Avenue on North Chillicothe. You cannot put that in if you intend to do streetscape on there. You can't, there isn't enough room. So that alone, Nathan saying that the village plans on running up North Chillicothe, that alone should kill this or turn this down immediately. The fact that it's been in front of council and you without sufficient information, again, still not showing a drawing. And I think in the last meeting, Mr. Rucker specifically asked, he needed to see how it fit in. And this view here doesn't show you how it fits in. It doesn't show you visually how much of the sidewalk is left. There's an obviously ADA and zoning problem with the telephone pole. That takes the end of that off anyway. So I guess from my perspective, I don't even think this should be considered because it still doesn't have the information that the design review board requires. It doesn't have a drawing. It doesn't have any real depiction. It doesn't have any measurements, and you just admitted that he doesn't know how far it's going to come out onto the sidewalk. So it doesn't show the gates. It doesn't show. I don't think it rises to the level that you guys should even be voting on this, honestly. I'm surprised that we're going down this road again. I think long-term for the village, the most important thing is going to be that streetscape. And if you omit the streetscape from that, that means there are no trees, there are no street lights, no nice ambiance of the small town street lights. None of it can have that. I mean, in my view, the most important thing for the village is to have that cohesive look. And if you approve this tonight, and then 2 years from now, the village raises the money to do that section of streetscape, will it be removed? Because it would have to be removed in order for the streetscape to go there. This same question applies to the other one. And in terms of not having the correct information, if you scroll down a few more pages, it shows pictures of Main Street. We're not talking about Main Street, we're talking about North Chillicothe. So when I looked at this on the agenda, you have incorrect information. It has the wrong street. It has no drawing. And obviously, if ADA requires 60 inches, this is an impossibility. So I guess I'm firmly against it. So thank you for letting me speak.
Before we proceed any further, are we even going to be able to vote on this?
Yes.
We only have 3 members that are eligible to vote.
Yep. You have to have them under the code. You have to have a majority or a quorum, and a quorum is 4. One is recusing himself, and he'll have to recuse himself. So you have to get the majority of the quorum, which would be 3. So it would have to be unanimous.
Okay.
John, do you have any comments about?
Well, yeah, just a couple things. Again, and I appreciate your comments about ADA and the zoning, and that's, and that's not what we're here to consider, but it's something that Ms. Brill will have to take into consideration, and the village will also. Yeah, I mean, I asked to see an actual rendition of what this would look like. And I still haven't seen, I've just seen a picture of a piece of fence and just a Photoshop markup drawing with yellow lines there. And that doesn't show me what it's going to look like. So again, I
Jim, do you have any comments?
I just wonder I couldn't hear everything, because I have hearing aids too, I'm with John, so you have to speak up. What is the purpose of this, to put it up?
Well, it's to serve, there are gonna be two tops along there, and so, two tops are only 24 inches wide. 30 inches wide is a typical table, and if I can fit 30-inch table in there and still get the server around, that's what will happen, because the server is not permitted to be outside of the fenced area because of alcohol. So everything has to be inside that fenced area. And that's the purpose in the fencing in the front of the building. And so that's why there's openings and you don't need a gate. That's not a requirement for the liquor department. You can put an opening in there and put no alcohol beyond this point, and that's sufficient. A lot of things like this, there's a reason why, and that's the reason why you don't want a gate that opens out into the sidewalk or into the dining area either. So yeah, those two things, that's the purpose in it. Number two purpose is just aesthetically, when you're driving down the road, it's proven that it's welcoming to passerbyers, that you see tables and chairs and dining. It is a marketing thing that has always been true.
You know, will a person be able to open a car door on that side if the gate's put up?
Yeah, it will.
How close to the street would it be?
Well, there needs to be a
minimum.
minimum 48 inches.
Okay.
And so there's no car doors that are 48 inches wide. And so that's why there's not really a detail there as to where it's going to go, because there are some things, and I'm following the same procedures that I did for the front patio, and this is the same exact thing. Is first we get approval for the fencing and the patio, then I go to the right of way, and then we work on where that actual placement is on that sidewalk, because those things are very critical. But there's no sense in me going through all of that rigmarole before a patio or a fence or anything is approved. And so this is the proper step to do that. And council did not unanimously turn this down. That's not what council said. Council said that that the design review board did not have the information that I showed them, which is what you're seeing today.
That is correct. We ruled that that this board acted correctly, or that I did not participate in the discussion. But yes, council ruled that design review board acted correctly, and so that was the crux of the appeal.
Yeah, and I didn't know that you wanted even more detail than this. I really didn't realize
I
that.
see what it's going to look like. That's really what we're doing. Is we need to see what it's going to look like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in my defense, I didn't do that for the front patio at the granary. That fencing there was no renditions. There was a.
I thought we did.
We did have a rendition
Yeah,
of.
There wasn't like where it was going to be. It was a rendition
but
of.
I mean, you could show a front view of the building with that fence, what that fence is going to look like, and we can see. You can do that without having to actually have it placed. I don't know if maybe this angle you're not going to be able to, but the front on you should still be able to do that.
Okay.
And there was a picture of what the fence will look like. It's not, I will tell you, it's not dropped down where those black lines are, but that's the type of fence that was proposed. So it'll be that in front of that building.
Yes,
Taylor, can you go back to the picture that has the yellow? Yeah. So, like even in this picture, it's hard to tell. Like if you look to the left, it looks like it's almost past your building. So it is hard to visualize where exactly the fence is going to go. And if it goes all the way to the end of the building, we're not able to see like the side, how it's gonna be placed up against the building. So from my standpoint, I'm still missing information on this. But I just wanna comment though too, just to the whole scape of this. When we approved the granary, the granary is a narrow building, and the proportions for the patio fit the building, really well. And you did the extra work for bumping out the sidewalk. On this street, the proportion for me, spanning that entire building, it just looks inappropriate for the space. I don't know if anybody else can get a feel of that, or if that's just me, but it's like, look, it's just gonna be like bars all along the front of that building, which doesn't look historically accurate in any way, and personally, to me, not attractive. So it really, the building turned out so great. It just would really detract, I think, from the building so much, from my point of view. You're leaving the spots open for the doors, so at least you get to visually see the doors, but I'm just trying to visualize that with a big, long, black fencing along there on a narrow sidewalk. And the other thing is, business is great for you, because those parking spots are always full.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how you got that picture with them empty.
Early in the morning.
Yeah, early in the morning, had to have been. But, so that's another thing you have to take into consideration, because those spots are always full. And even though the doors, there's room for clearance for the doors to open along there, but it's still gonna feel like a tunnel for that little space that people have to walk. Because you've got the gate there, and you've got the parking, which is, constantly full now. And then your patio space is so narrow. And I realize you want to do it because of being able to drink alcohol out there, but.
Yeah, I would like to see a patio there, if I'll be perfectly honest with you. I just want it to be within with the visual, I want to have the visual historical accuracy that you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that by listening to everyone, to make it smaller so it doesn't take up the whole entire length of the building is not a terrible idea, especially because the end doesn't really have windows like the other end does. So that is an idea, and
that's a crucial
the door
area.
on the left is a carryout door, so maybe we can make it smaller and yet still give a couple of people the ability, and actually could still have 3 tables there in front of the glass windows that are in the dining area that would still allow for a little bit of a quaint evening for a couple to come out and just have I mean, like you said, without seeing it depicted, I will do my best to have a rendering done, which is those aren't inexpensive, and that's why I hate to go down a rabbit hole if I don't really feel that it's gonna get approved anyways. I would rather just save the money for a different project, because there's plenty other ones to go.
So would you like to table this?
Yes, if I could, please.
I move that we table this until the next meeting.
I'll second.
Okay.
Simon,
Yes.
Rucker,
Yes.
Cron,
Yes.
Yes.
All right, the final item on the agenda tonight is for 160 West Main Street, and that is a certificate of appropriateness for a mural. If you scroll down, so again, it's in the historic district, and it's zoned as B3. This is a picture of the existing condition of that wall. As you can see, the paint is starting to peel off, and it is a property maintenance concern and violation. So the applicant has proposed to repaint the side of that building that white color, and has provided some contextual plans of some other murals that other cities have done and painted on the side of brick buildings. If you scroll down further, that's the depiction and the location of the mural in front of you tonight. Again, all new white paint with that on the side of the building. It was unclear whether it would be painted directly on the building or if it'd be more of a decal that's kind of attached. In my experience, I've seen them go both ways, whether they're painted directly on or they're more like a sticker that you kind of put on the building and leave that there. So the paint color swatch was not depicted, but within that Sherwin-Williams color palette, there is a white color, and that would be staff's recommendation that it's painted in accordance with our standards. Now, in terms of the color of the mural, we'll leave that up to the board's discretion. As it's proposed, it would not fall within that color palette, but it is in your discretion to make calls and changes to that ordinance if you see it fit. So staff has reviewed that certificate of appropriateness and recommends approval, as murals and street art have been found to have numerous benefits on the local economy, drive tourism, improve the urban landscape, and boost neighboring property values. So it's found to be a great economic development tool. And in addition to the mural and the replacement of that, it does take away the concern of the property maintenance violation, so it would be an improvement. And that is all I have for you tonight.
Can I, if this is time for public comment, I said I wasn't gonna comment on this, but I do have a maintenance, since you brought up maintenance comment. The reason the white is pushing off is because the water is coming up from underground. If he cuts that sidewalk or cuts the pavement about 6 or 8 inches away from that wall all the way down, and provides like a perimeter drain, just like the village just did under the curbs, it might keep it from pushing the next paint off. So the white paint he puts on might last a lot longer. So I just wanted to, I like the idea of the mural. I just thought from a maintenance perspective, the reason that it did that is water coming up from below. So if he got a little bit of drainage in before he painted it, it would last a lot longer. Thank you for letting me.
Thank you.
Any
I-
comments from the board?
I want to add a couple of things because I basically I didn't want this to be like, this is the only mural or the only look that I think would be good there, but I just think that location is a great location for a mural, and I didn't even know where to go, but Hillary, that just moved to Pennsylvania, wherever she moved to,
Yeah.
Florida. Oh, well, she is willing to come back to town,
Oh, wow.
to paint this and stay, at a relative's for a week or 2 weeks, however long it takes to paint it. But this was her original idea, and behind the words Plain City is the historic buildings, and that's why it looks black and white, and so, and the size of it, I'm not 100% stuck on either. I really wanted to start creating a dialogue and seeing if the design review board would be willing to look at adding a mural to that side of the building, just because it's so plain. And I think that it would be a great photo opportunity for several people if we could come up with a really good design that everyone would appreciate. It's going to be impossible to get everyone to agree. However, I would really like to see something really cool there. That
I really like what's in it, because I see Aunt Fran, and which I knew Aunt Fran, and we were and still are a farm community. I like that. I can't see all of the, I see the picture of the clock in here.
Yeah, I would like to see maybe the clock tower feature maybe a little more prominent, because that is sort of.
Now, when you
feature.
zoom in, you can really see it on the P there.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I see the old drinking fountain.
You know, a tornado with the cow.
That's my only
That's
thing, I
why
think.
was building
The
this
cyclone.
top floor.
Yeah, I really like the idea of a mural there. There's no chance of going back to a brick on that wall, is there?
It's so hard. I know Eric will attest to this, that getting paint off of brick, it usually damages the brick, the face of the brick, and once the face is gone, the whole brick's gone.
Okay,
Um,
I just had to
and
ask.
there's really not, yeah, I wish there was like a paint remover. They just don't work because it's so porous.
Okay. All right, well, do we want
Motion to
to,
approve.
motion to approve?
So moved.
All right, we have a second?
Did
Second.
somebody-
Do you
I
want-
just moved to approve it.
We
I
need-
second.
Second, okay.
Ron?
Yes.
Rucker?
Yes.
Iman?
Yes,
Adopted.
all right. Nothing further for tonight then? A motion to adjourn, or do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Great.
Go home, eat my same beans, fresh half run. A little bit of bacon, yeah, put a little